Hi everyone, welcome back to my numbers in series. I have lost track on which video we're on, but this is another video in our estimation series, and this is the promised third multiplication video. So you might remember in our second multiplication video a little while ago, we used fractions basically to multiply numbers like 333, numbers like 125, numbers like 667, right? Those kinds of numbers, but you might also remember that on purpose I mentioned that I left out one specific fraction because that fraction is so unique that I thought it deserved its own video, and here it is. That fraction, of course, was 1 over 7, and so this video is going to require you to know the decimal expansions of 1 over 7, 2 over 7, 3 over 7, 4 over 7, 5 over 7, and 6 over 7. So if you don't have those memorized, please go memorize those and then come watch this video. So hopefully you have memorized them, and so we can start with this. So it's a very similar idea to what we used in multiplication 2. 142857 is going to remind you heavily of 1 over 7. So what we can write this as is essentially 1 over 7 times 1 million. And, mathematically it's actually 1 over 7 times 9999999, but 1 million is way nicer to multiply by. Times 17, of course. And now what we're going to do is just do 17 over 7 and then multiply that again by 1 million because 1 million is really easy to multiply by, so we should get the hard part out of the way first. 17 over 7, you might want to write this as a mixed number. It is 2 and 3/7, and then when we multiply that by 1 million, we're going to have essentially a number that is a 2 at the start, and then the next 6 digits are going to be allocated to this 3 over 7. Just like how 6 digits here are allocated to this 1 over 7, we're going to use 6 digits to write 3 over 7, which is actually right here. It's 4285571. But if you don't want to write all these digits, you could, of course, according to the rules of estimation, it only has to be within 5% of the right answer. So you could just write, 4243000. That would be fine as well. But I do prefer writing it exactly. But it's up to you. So all of these questions are going to be, pretty much the same idea. So 428571 times 19. As I said before, this is 3 over 7 times 1 million. So it's going to be 3 over 7 times 19 times that big number. What's 3 over 7 times 19? That's going to be 57 over 7, which is going to be 8 and 1/7. 8 and 1/7 times 1 million. Well, it's going to be 8. And then have 6 digits for 1 over 7, which is going to be 8142857. Note that all of our answers are actually just extremely close to the right answer. This answer is off by 8 from the actual answer, which is kind of insane. And it's why I find 1 over 7 to be so beautiful and why it's getting its own video. Now 285714 times 27. I want to note here actually that you could use what we learned in multiplication 1 here. If you wanted to round this to 280,000 and then multiply that by 27, you could absolutely do that. Or, round it to 290,000 and then multiply that by 27. If you find that easier, you can definitely do that. But personally, I would just use, x over 7 when I see these kinds of questions. So what is this? This is going to be 2 over 7 times 27 times a million. That is 6 zeros, yep. So what is 2 over 7 times 27? That's 54 over 7, which is going to be 7 and 5/7. And when we multiply that by 1 million, that's going to go into a 7 with 6 digits allocated for 5 over 7. Well, what's 5 over 7? It's 714285. So we would write that. Or, 770000. It's fine. Whatever you choose. Maybe writing zeros is, 0.5 seconds faster and that gets you an extra question. Who knows? 857142 times 14. This is going to be 6 over 7 times 14 times 1 million. And here, please don't do 84 over 7. Just recognize that 14, 7, boom, 2. And so that gives you 12 times 1 million. Big shocker, 12 million. And once again, if you actually plug this into your calculator, this is like crazy close to the actual answer. So yeah. Now, 571428 times 18. Last question. Let's hold on. What's this? It's 4 over 7. 4 over 7 times 18 times a million. What's 4 over 7 times 18? That's 72 over 7, which is 10 and 2/7. So when you multiply that by a million, it's going to be like 10. And then these 6 digits are for 2 over 7. Well, what's 2 over 7? It's 285714. And that is our answer. Wow, an 8-digit answer. That is actually super close to the right answer. Who would have thought? Only possible with 1 over 7. So that is our third multiplication video, and hopefully our final one, unless I think of something that I missed. But that is the video for 1 over 7. And I am giving 1 over 7 just its own videos because I think it's such a unique fraction, and a fraction that you have to know, and a fraction that you can also use to impress your friends. My friends were very impressed when I did this. So yeah, this is essentially just the same idea, but with 1 over 7 as multiplication 2. So if you understand that and you understand this, you will be very well set for the rest of multiplication, I think. And yeah, that's about it. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.